Welcome to the Startup Builders and Backers Show, a podcast which is part of the Tech Talks network. I'm Neil C. Hughes, and you may know me from the Tech Talks daily podcast, which covers a completely different topic every day around how technology is ultimately impacting our life, our work, and even world. But the Tech Talks network is a series of unique podcasts that drill down on unique subjects and showcase the voices right at the heart of tech startups. And in this series, I want to shine a spotlight on the energetic world of startups, where bold entrepreneurs and visionary investors come together and create the world-beating solutions of tomorrow. So the conversations you can expect to hear on this show will dive right into the journeys of those building innovative companies and also the strategic insights of those who support them, balancing the excitement of breakthrough ideas with the more pragmatic challenges of scaling a business. So if you're a startup founder, you get to learn from other founders, some of the mistakes they learned and also some of the opportunities that they unlocked along the way. So I invite you to join us as we unpack the risks, the rewards and the realities of turning those groundbreaking concepts into successful enterprises. But now it's time to get on with the show and invite today's guest on. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the Philippines, where Frederic is waiting to join us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes, sure. Thank you for having me on the show. So I'm Frederic Joye. I am 45 years old. I'm born in Switzerland. I currently live in the Philippines, where now I'm the co-founder of Arcanys, which is a software development company. I'm also a partner at Arcanys Ventures, which is our investment arm, where we specialize in funding software development teams for these startups that are raising funds in I would say seed to pre-series A round. So we come in while they're raising funds with other investors. So that's my core focus at the moment. On the side, I'd just say that I'm really passionate about sports in general, CrossFit in particular, and trying to get most of our employees to also join the cult to get healthier.
Love it. And this seems like you've been on quite a journey there. There's so much to unpack and everything you just said. Obviously, you were raised in Switzerland and now you're in the Philippines. And Arcanys is a software development outsourcing company based in the Philippines. But is there a backstory there on what took you from Switzerland to the Philippines?
So there is a bit of a funny backstory. So I've been, a bit the exemplary Swiss good son, I would say, until I was 30. So I worked in insurance and the banking industries, which made my mom very happy. But I found it also pretty boring. And when in 2008, I paid a visit to a longtime friend of mine, Alan, who's today my business partner, while he was living in Hong Kong and setting up his second company. He's been a lifelong entrepreneur and started in Spain, then moved his business to Hong Kong, where he was still based when I visited him. And during that trip in 2008, at some point, he asked me if I wanted to help him out on his new venture, which was an e-commerce website in the gaming industry. And seeing this as the opportunity to leave boring Switzerland for me, I didn't even ask what I was going to help him with. I said, yes, I'm interested in, joining an entrepreneurial adventure. So about 3 months later, I packed everything I had in Switzerland, sold most of the stuff, and then landed in Hong Kong in January 2009. And we worked on that e-commerce venture for a good year in Hong Kong. And in late 2009, we had an opportunity to buy a small side business in the Philippines. So neither of us had ever really been to the Philippines, and we didn't really know much about it. But we looked into that business, and I guess a few months later, we pulled the trigger and bought that small side business. And when we visited the Philippines, we realized that actually what we were doing in Hong Kong, which was mostly software development and customer service for our e-commerce website, we could do it a lot better and also cheaper from the Philippines. So a couple of months later, we decided we'd move all the operations from Hong Kong to the Philippines, and that's kind of where we started being in the Philippines. That business, though, didn't survive. So at some point, we decided that we had to find another thing to do. And because we had hired really good software engineers in the Philippines for our business, and we had some friends that were asking us to help them out with more software developers, then we decided that we would focus on that business from now on. And so that's what we've been working on for the last 14 years. We have now around 350 employees that are working for companies all across the globe, and most of them are software developers from the Philippines.
And a question I've got to ask, of course, Switzerland is famed for snow-capped Alps, picturesque lakes, well-preserved medieval towns, whereas the Philippines is all about exotic beaches, expansive forests, the abundance of volcanoes. Is there anything that you miss about Switzerland at all? It seems like you've got the best of all worlds here.
Yeah, so I do. Well, I do miss indeed the mountains and the skiing and I guess the seasons as well, and my friends and family, obviously. But living in the Philippines is also very, very nice because of the beautiful weather that we have all around, and the heat, and what is also absolutely extraordinary is the people. And so interacting with Filipinos that are extremely friendly, extremely warm, kind, and welcoming makes your day every day. Even if you have a bad day and you meet someone that's smiling to you on the street, just changes everything. So I miss Switzerland, but I'm also very happy to be in the Philippines.
Absolutely love that. And as this is a tech podcast, on behalf of any startup founders that might be listening, I'd love to tap into your extensive experience in tech startup investments. I'm curious, what key factors do you look for in a startup that indicate its potential for success? Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, so I think so we've got around 20 investments that we've done with our small fund, and from the ones that work the best, it's really the team that makes a difference. So we're looking at an experienced team. It's not just a solo founder. We always see these stories about this incredible solo founder that built the whole business, but it's never really true. It's more like a team that's behind a business. And so we're really looking for that expertise in a specific industry, with people who've been working in industry for quite some time and now want to do something on their own. The second part for us, because we invest in seed to pre-series A companies, we look at a startup that has some proven traction. So it means that there is a product that they have been able to get some traction for, so some sales in most cases, not always. So these two are really a good foundation. After that, we're looking at a good financial management in the first few rounds of investment that these companies have had. So we're looking at what did they do with the money they had, and what have they been able to achieve with the limited funds that they had. And so then that's when we can really look at how efficient they've been in realizing their vision with the limited means they had. And the last part, because what we do is invest the software engineers' time in these startups to help them go to the next level. we are looking also at a decently built initial product. So, which means that we understand that they know what they're doing, and that we can help them go much faster. So that's kind of like the way we look at it.
And you're also someone that's had more than 20 years navigating the world of software development. I think it's 14 years since Mark Anderson said software is eating the world, and we've all seen what happened since then. And I'm curious, what major changes have you observed in the industry, and how have these changes impacted startups and established businesses alike? I suspect you've seen a lot of different things evolve over the years.
Yeah, so what really helped companies like ours start, around 14 years ago was all the technology around enabling remote work and distributed team. And it's been accelerated even more so during COVID. So that's the first thing. And then I think all the methodologies around how building software have changed and become a lot more performant, if you want, or efficient, have helped our industry. And because building software has become so much more complex, all the methodologies around that have evolved with it. And what we see as well now is all the trends with the AI and machine learning that are, again, kind of changing the way software developers are working. So this is opening again new possibilities for the products themselves, but also how people work around that. So those are really like the major changes that we've seen are the methodologies, the enablement to remote work and distributed teams, now the AI and machine learning. And of course, we can see also, I would say in a different form, like all the focus on cybersecurity, and now coming with all the regulatory environment. So we're looking at what's happening in the US, for example, with data protection and all that stuff that has imposed really new challenges on how to work with all that data, even more so in countries like, for example, the Philippines, where we have to navigate that a bit differently.
And before you came on the podcast, I was doing a little research on you, and I was reading how you emphasize that investing, not just financial capital, but also technical expertise and time is more important too. So can you elaborate on how this almost smart money approach makes you different in your investment strategy from others in the industry?
Right. So what we've, first, it's what we know how to do best, right? So if we want to mitigate the risk of our investments, is to actually have an active part in the success of the company, because the way we work with these companies, if you want, is a 100% risk and reward kind of thing. We don't get paid if the company fails. So we want to make sure that we have some level of control of how the software development works. But more importantly, I think a lot of the startup entrepreneurs are not just looking at people who put in some cash and just kind of wait for things to happen and don't provide additional value. And so that's also how we look at our investments. Is we know that we can really make a difference with these founders, because we bring in so much more expertise in what they want to build. So because most of the startups we are helping are either SaaS or hardware, but tech-enabled companies. They don't always have that expertise in scaling teams, scaling software, and we simply reinforce their business, not just with a reduced cash burn, if you want, due to also the fact that we're outsourced, but also of all the previous experience that we had with building other businesses. And
how's the evolution of software development outsourcing, especially within remote and distributed teams. Have you seen that alter the landscape for startups and investors? Because again, so many big changes around this world, isn't there?
Right. Yeah. So the changes that we've mentioned prior have helped all these distributed teams to work more efficiently. And so becoming easier, it means that startups have more access to global talent. It's easier for them to go to other countries and find the talents they can't find in their own countries or can't pay, because we know that startups have also limited resources. So global access talent, cost efficiency. Also, I think with companies like ours, it helps them a lot with the scalability and flexibility, because we can help them provide fast people that have been vetted, that we know. It's cutting down the time to hire from, maybe 3 to 6 months in some countries to just a few days when they need more people, which then means so better cost efficiency, but then faster time to market, right? Because if you can hire people faster, not necessarily having a much bigger team, but if you cut down time to hire and get the right people on the first go, then you can also go much faster to market. So this is really a really strong competitive advantage. And because you become a lot more, I think, efficient with the use of capital as well, in subsequent investment rounds, I think it's also more attractive for investors. They're looking at what have they done with the money they got in the first few rounds, and looking at how much they've achieved, right, can make it more attractive for investors. But one last thing I would say, there's many, but I'll just focus on that last one, is I think it also helps a lot through with innovation, through collaboration, because we, as a team, have so much knowledge about the process of developing software. We can actually bring all that knowledge to the startups and brainstorm with them on how to reach their goals in more innovative ways.
And another big topic right now is a trend towards distributed software teams. I know this is a topic very close to your heart. And if there are any businesses looking at exploring distributed software teams right now, what are the challenges and opportunities that come with this, particularly in the context of, I don't know, a global pandemic or anything really? What opportunities and challenges have you seen? So
the challenges, I think the first one that a lot of people underestimate are the communication barriers due to, time zones or cultural backgrounds. And you can overcome these pretty easily by choosing friendly time zones, for example, or being very aware of all the cultural differences. So there are a lot of trainings you can do around that. And it's easy to overcome if you're aware of that. We've also talked a lot, I think, about maybe isolation or team cohesion, or lack of team cohesion with a remote setup. There are also, of course, tools to overcome that, and I think it's very important to keep on working on that every day. And of course, the last part that's, I think, less of a problem now is the technical infrastructure, right? So companies who are looking at outsourcing, they have to make sure that the team members that they have all across the world have really reliable access to all the tools that they need. And more importantly, the internet. And this is also being slowly addressed by companies like SpaceX that are distributing the internet much easier now. The opportunities that I would see, and I talked about that earlier, is really this global talent pool. And we've seen that it has enabled so many companies to do a lot more and a lot more efficiently. The the remote setup, I think, also offers a lot more flexibility for the people to manage their own kind of work-life balance, if that's still a word that we're using. So we've seen it with Arcanys, where people can really adjust their lives around work, or work around their lives, which increases a lot of the job satisfaction and life satisfaction in general. And the last part that I would mention is, I think, additional resilience and adaptability. And simply because you have distributed teams, sometimes across many time zones, many different cultures, so it can simply add a lot of diversity and a lot of resilience in the teams.
And again, for startup founders and business leaders listening, if you look back at your journey with Arcanys, how have you been able to balance the need for rapid software development while also ensuring high quality outputs for your clients? Because again, it's very often a tricky balance. I'd love to hear more about how you achieve this.
So I guess it's the hardest. In our case, we are coming in when the product has already been kind of conceptualized and there has been an MVP that has been released. So there is already something that's working. So sometimes we just carry on, keep on building that product. And sometimes we have to start from scratch again. And it's also true that in the world of startups, the speed is absolutely key, and that we aim to, really go fast. But the quality, when you're at that stage, is always the most important thing to look at. Well, of course, there's speed, but the quality has to be there. So I think it's really about optimizing what needs to be done versus what is completely unnecessary at this stage. So it's building something really solid and removing scope creep. So, and that happens when you have a really, really well organized team, which then helps with the speed and the quality. So it's really about having really super efficient processes in place and people who are slashing features that are unnecessary at the early stages. It's really the focus on what needs to be done for the product.
And for any CEOs or CTOs of tech-enabled businesses and B2B SaaS companies that might be listening, any advice that you would offer around how to navigate the current tech landscape effectively? Because again, it feels like such a moment of huge transitional change right across the world, especially with AI and machine learning coming in. But any advice around them?
Yeah, so you mentioned the change. So I guess you have to embrace whatever changes are coming your way. So embracing agility. We have to be prepared to pivot our strategies, pivot what we offer as products. So it's or services on the trends, right? And to do that, I guess it's really the focus on the success of the customer. So what is the market? What does the market need? How can we foresee these changes, and how can we adapt faster than the competition? And I think this comes with investing in talent, investing in people who are curious, people who are learning consistently, and offering continuous growth opportunities to people in the teams. And we can do this if we cultivate really a strong culture, right? Because we have all these challenges, we have remote work, and if we want to keep people, I guess, engaged and motivated, is really cultivating this strong company culture with open communication, continuous learning, as I mentioned, and regardless of where people are located. And I think the last thing that I kind of see for the companies we work with is this idea of sustainable growth. So It's not just this extremely rapid growth that we had in the past, but what we do is focus on sustainable and scalable growth strategies that are really embedded in the long term. Although things change all the time, we have to keep looking at, okay, what is the value we can deliver on the long term and to bring stability at the end of the day.
Love that. And finally, before I let you go, if I was to ask you to look in my virtual crystal ball, looking into the future, are there any emerging trends in software development and tech investment that you think might continue to shape the industry over the next few years?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball either, but what we see is, they could start with everything AI, right? I think this is, everybody's pushing so hard in that direction. Of course, the AI, we see a lot of growth in the low-code, no-code platforms that are becoming a lot more powerful. So, and popular because it enables people to do, rapid development of like mobile web apps with minimal coding. So that's really good for younger startups to go fast. And after that, then it's probably time to invest in something more robust. What we can talk about also is, of course, cybersecurity, which is like an absolutely fundamental priority with the threats that we have at the moment. Then the next one, which is not the last, but I'll stop after that. I think it's this extended reality integration that's also coming, right? It started a few years ago. It's slowed down when the AI arrived, but I think this is also going to keep on increasing. And we see a lot of the startups are investing in that space because it can enable so many things that we have absolutely no idea about at the moment. In healthcare, in so many industries. So those are the ones that I can see.
Love that. And we started the podcast today talking about your origin story that took you from Switzerland to the Philippines. But if we look back at your career now, of course, same for anybody listening, none of us are able to achieve any degree of success without a little help along the way. So is there a particular person that you're grateful towards? Maybe they saw something in you, invested a little time in you, that maybe helped you get you where you are today, that we can give a little shout out to?
Yeah, so it's my business partner, Alan. I mean, I think if he didn't have taken this kind of leap of faith to ask me if I wanted to help him out, my life would probably be very, very different today. And so I'm still working a lot with him, but it's also allowed me to build my own entrepreneurial journey in some other businesses that I'm running. So that's the big shout out that I would like to give. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think it's a great moment to end on. But before I do let you go, for anyone listening wanting to find out more information about you, about Arcanys, contact your team, explore anything we've talked about today in more detail, where would you like to point everyone listening?
Yeah, so I guess the easiest is my LinkedIn. So Frederic Joye, and yeah, people can contact me there. It's the easiest one.
Well, we covered a lot today, from the intricate nuances of managing distributed software teams to the pioneering world of tech startup investments, not to mention the snow-capped mountains of the Alps, picturesque lakes, to the expansive forests and volcanoes and beaches of the Philippines, all wrapped up with a great tech story and a bit of gratitude to your business partner there. But more than anything, just thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today and share your story.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. It's been really a pleasure, and I love your description about the journey. Thank you so much.
So a huge thank you to Frederic, co-founder of Arcanys and a pioneer in that tech investment sphere, for joining us and sharing his story today, and also the story from the evolution of software development outsourcing to the strategic value of smart money. Frederic has given us a bit of a masterclass in navigating the tech ecosystem with his insight, innovation and intention. And to each of you listening out there, I hope today's episode has maybe sparked a few ideas and inspired you to think differently about your tech ventures. What strategies will you adopt to help you navigate the ever-changing tech landscape? How will it help you and your business? Please join the discussion and share your thoughts with us, and you can do that by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for today.